There are two challenges I think the economy faces. One is more recent and one has been a perpetual bugbear. The perpetual bugbear is our companies find it almost impossible to be competitive in the world market when it comes to manufacturing, right? We're brilliant at IT services. Anything which has a knowledge component, such as say Divi's lab and API, we're good at that. So wherever dimag, brains are relevant in exports, we are globally competitive. But if it's standard manufacturing, clothes, sports goods, even electronic products, it's been historically a really tough slog for India to be globally competitive. As we just discussed, courtesy PLI, courtesy basically a subsidy from the government of India, we've managed to create the beginnings of a electronic manufacturing services industry, which can be globally competitive, but they're globally competitive courtesy the PLI. If you take the PLI away, will they be globally competitive? I'm not so sure. So that's been a historical problem. The wages are too high in India given that labor productivity is low, our wages are high, land is bloody hard to get and it's expensive, and cost of capital, SME working capital especially, 10-11% compared to say SME working capital in China costs 2-3%, right? So land labor capital, we are much higher cost than other countries with a similar stage of development. They're not competitive vis-a-vis Bangladesh, Vietnam, or China. That's been a historical problem. Hopefully, the PLI piece can partially remediate that. Fingers crossed. If it does, then I think we will see more capex in export-oriented sectors, right? So Divi's Lab, again, good example. Divi's Lab has significantly ramped up capex on a new plant. The new plant is making contrast media for the global majors, for the Mercks and Pfizers of the world. It's a China plus one play at some level because China dominates contrast media. Divi's Lab is muscling in because the Western companies are apprehensive about China. So hopefully we will see the manufactured exports piece come into life as lesser companies than Divi's Lab find that they're able to compete in the global market. This is a historical problem. Let's hope the PLI piece partially remediates that. The new challenge which has emerged in the last couple of years is consumption has conked off comprehensively, right? 2-3%. The GDP data is saying 2-3% growth in consumption. That's those are 20-year lows on consumption. What that's done is domestic companies who focus on consumption, they are saying, boss, growth hi nahi hai, so why should I do capex, right? So therefore, the domestic consumption piece has to be revived for capex, which is centric on domestic consumption to fire into life. I'm sure there'll be lots of high-powered policymakers in Delhi who will burn the midnight oil between now and the budget to figure out how to revive domestic consumption. It has economic implications and it obviously has political ramifications as well. If consumption revives and the PLI piece fires into life, Pramod, we'll see a solid private sector capex revival.